What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical, average American here today to react and continue learning about Norway's most northern city called Hammerfest. Part 2. If you haven't seen Part 1, feel free to go check that out first, or stay here in Part 2. That's perfectly fine. But in Part 1, we started learning about the Norwegian city of Hammerfest, where it is so far north that it is actually dark there for 2 months straight. 2 months of just darkness. And apparently, Tromsø is also pretty close by, and it also gets pretty dark in Tromsø as well. And basically, if you live in these places in Norway, you have to find a way to survive. You have to find a way to get through it. 2 months of darkness. I can't even imagine. I didn't even know this was possible. So we left off in Part 1 learning about a psychiatric facility in Tromsø where they learn about the effects of depression and mental illness that could be caused by living in places like this. So I'm really interested to continue learning about this, about how Norwegians who live in Hammerfest, this far north, how Norwegians cope with 2 months of darkness and some of the repercussions it could have, really. So let's take a look.
Plutselig i 1985 så får vi servert en artikkel fra Washington som ligger like langt syd som Roma, som forteller oss at man blir deprimert når det er lite lys om vinteren. Og det finner vi ganske overraskende, for jeg har jobbet her i over 30 år, og vi har ikke sett at det er noe mer depresjoner om vinteren enn det ellers er. Kommer det da?
This is interesting. Yeah. In America, I think they've done studies where most people think that darkness and winter causes depression, seasonal depression in America. People get more sad and more depressed because it's dark and it's cold and you're just not as happy. So, yeah, I think most Americans believe that to be true.
Noen eksperter som sier at ja, det er antagelig vinterdepresjon, så får de noe knyttet dette til. Men det er dette med medikalisering, som vi er ganske opptatt av. At vi gjør vanlige forekommende problemer til en sykdom. Og jeg er opptatt av at vi ikke skal sykeliggjøre hvordan vi har det her i Nord-Norge. Det synes jeg faktisk er ganske viktig, at folk ikke skal begynne innbille seg at de blir syke av mørketiden.
Oh, wow. This is interesting to me. So this Norwegian in Tromsø who studies this, he is actually disagreeing. He says there's no real problem with depression or mental illness. As a matter of fact, he's saying this is just a normal part of nature, a normal part of life, if you live this far north, and it shouldn't be seen as a bad thing. I never thought about it like that. I do like his attitude. His attitude of, this is just a fact of life, this is just normal for us, and there's no reason to, get worked up about it. There's no reason to act like it's the end of the world, and that you can get through it without being depressed, without it doing much to you. That's really interesting. That's not what I thought going into this. But I like that he's putting forward sort of a contrarian point of view.
Vi som jobber i felten, hverken allmennpraktikere eller psykiatere, har lagt merke til at det er mer depresjon om vinteren enn ellers. Faktisk mest depresjon om vår og høst. Ikke om vinteren. Teorien.
So he actually gets a bit offended. He actually doesn't like that many people, especially Americans, like myself, I'm guilty of this. I always thought winter and darkness causes depression. He disagrees. And maybe it's Norwegians that are not affected by this. I think Americans get affected by winter because we don't have a lot of winter. So it really affects us when it comes. We're really shocked by it. We're like, whoa, snow. But in Norway, a lot of this is more normal, especially the further north that you go. So I never really thought about it from the Norwegian point of view. That you don't have to treat this like some unsurmountable, impossible event. This can just be, it's more normalized in Norway. Which I like that. I like that attitude.
Går ut på at, men det er veldig lett å lage teorier da, på funn, men teoriene går ut på at om høsten så går på en måte naturen i stå, ikke sant, og den blir trist, og det øker din egen tristhet. Mens på våren er det omvendt. At når våren kommer og alt springer ut, ikke sant, og fuglene synger og folk blir forelsket, så blir det en større kontrast mellom det som er rundt deg, og hvordan du selv har det. Det blir mer deprimert av ikke å kunne følge med.
Right.
Slik at de som kommer hit og er deprimert, de kommer med veldig dype depresjoner. Det kan være folk som ikke har spist på ukesvis, som innbiller seg at de har skylden for ting de overhodet ikke har skylden for. Så det er en psykotisk depresjon.
So they are at a psychiatric facility in Tromsø. And they do have patients that are suffering from depression. So is he saying that this is real? Or that it only affects some people? And that a lot of Norwegians can get by perfectly happy? Maybe that's what he's saying?
Eller svært mange kommer fordi de har forsøkt å ta livet av seg, eller tenker på å ta livet av seg. De blir lagt inn for å hindre det å ta livet av seg.
Wow.
Det er tøffe ting.
Ja, det er det. Det er veldig alvorlige ting vi arbeider med her.
Yeah.
Jeg håper jo at jeg aldri skal bli så syk.
Ja, det vil jeg også.
Yeah. Well, I think if you grow up in Hammerfest or Tromsø, if you grow up there your whole life, you're probably used to it. It's normal. You probably just accept it and don't get that depressed or sad, and you just go about your daily life. You just act normal, I guess. I think for Americans like me, this is just so shocking. This is just so unimaginable that I would think this would really affect a lot of Americans. If America suddenly had 2 months of darkness, a lot of Americans wouldn't do well, really. This really is a geographic kind of thing where Norwegians seem more equipped to handle this.
As a psychiatrist, he doesn't think that the unending night here is a cause of depression.
Huh.
In his opinion, the matter is more nuanced than others claim.
Okay.
But reading between the lines, this universe of violently bipolar seasons might not be the ideal antidepressant.
Yeah, I mean, no matter how you say it, if it's dark for 2 months, nobody enjoys that. Nobody enjoys it.
Je suis très fatigué dans le matin. Il faut que je ouvrir ici à 8 heures. Malheureusement, je n'ouvre pas que 10 heures parce que je ne peux pas. C'est très dur de se lever plus tôt dans ce climat-là. Alors...
Oh, wow. I've never thought about this. So if there's no sunlight, that must make it very difficult to wake up. That would, oh my gosh, that would throw me off so much. It's much harder to wake up if there's no visual cue, if there's no sun. Nothing to, and chemically, sunlight does stuff to your body to to help you wake up. Wow, this guy can't even open his shop on time because he's so much more tired. Wow.
Tu dors beaucoup. Et dans l'été, tu dors un petit peu. C'est comme la vie d'un animal, je ne sais pas comment ça s'appelle. Il y a une période qu'il dort beaucoup, il y a une période qu'il est... Je ne sais pas.
Like a bear? Like a bear that hibernates? Or...
Quand j'étais arrivé ici en 1991, ben, j'y pensais la Norvège comme l'Amérique, les États-Unis. Des habitants très hauts, beaucoup de circulation, comme les films.
Yeah.
Ben, quand j'étais arrivé ici, j'étais très choqué. Tu
Wow.
peux penser à un homme qui vient du Maroc avec un merveilleux climat, le soleil. Alors pour venir ici, j'ai vraiment pleuré.
He cried. Oh my gosh. This guy immigrated to Norway thinking it was going to be like the United States. More summer and less winter. And especially, oh my gosh, especially if you move to Hammerfest. Like this far north in Norway. He was crying. He was so shocked. Yeah. Well, you got to do your research, honestly. You shouldn't just move somewhere without knowing anything. Yeah, this is one of the most extreme living situations I've ever heard of, really.
J'ai vraiment pleuré, j'ai senti beaucoup de, comment ça s'appelle, la dépression. Cet pays, c'est peut-être le premier pays dans le monde dans la suicide. Tu sais ce que ça veut dire la suicide?
I don't know so much about it, but of course the police in Tromsø have to deal with people that want to take their lives.
Oh.
And
wow. So, yeah, this is tough. This is a tough topic. There are people in Tromsø and Hammerfest that are trying to commit suicide. There's higher suicide rates. So it's tough for that scientist at the beginning to argue that there's no effect of darkness. Clearly, this is affecting people.
And for many years, we have a situation on the bridge from Tromsø Island over to the other side. People go to the bridge and jump over, and we have many people that have lost their lives. I think it's has something to do with the drug abuses. We also
Drugs? So a combination of depression and drugs, really? Does northern Norway have higher suicide rates than like other countries or other parts of Norway, maybe?
also have a bridge from Tromsø to another island, and also from that bridge we had experience with that kind of situation.
Wow.
The environment here won't recharge your batteries if they are low and you're frail. It's nearly 11 a.m. and still not a single photon to be absorbed by the eye.
Yeah.
Not the slightest particle of natural light.
Yeah.
Standing on street corners, our eyes search for clocks. We check our watches for the 10th time in an hour just to be sure we're not in a dream.
Oh my gosh. This would be so crazy. This would be so difficult on your mind and your mental health. You're always checking your watch, you're always looking at the clock, because it feels like time never moves. Because usually, you don't even realize, but during the day, subconsciously, you're looking at the sunlight outside to determine what time of day it is, based on the sun. And then if that all goes away, your body and mind is just thrown off. Oh my God, this sounds incredibly difficult. I have a lot of respect for Norwegians living this far north. It sounds hard.
Young cyclists race through the streets of Tromsø on the longest night on the planet. There is a festive ambiance in the streets. They don't seem to have problems adapting. In the land of Alice and the Mad Hatter, you're better off keeping a clear mind, sleeping during standard hours only, and not having any psychiatric background, the place seems to have more folks with suicidal tendencies than any other place on Earth.
Oh, wow. Well, it seems like for the most part, people in northern Norway just you just go about your day as normal as you can. That's all you can do. And I think with that, this is a good place to stop for now. This is a really, really interesting documentary. It goes into a lot of detail about living in one of the most extreme places I've ever heard of in northern Norway, what life is really like, and the struggles of living here. It's fascinating. I'm enjoying this so much. I think I'm going to stop here for now, and I will continue this in part 3. But if you've enjoyed this so far, feel free to give this video a like or leave a comment with your thoughts on, what it's like living this far north in Norway, in the darkness. 2 months of darkness, what it can do to your mental health, what Norwegians think about all this. That'd be really cool to hear about. And if you're interested in more videos like this, me reacting to Norway and learning about Norwegian culture, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching, and see you next time.